Squid Game 3 came out and disappointed everyone. It disappointed me as well. We were thinking the third season would be about destroying the game, but no, it had to go completely another way, and all the lives that were lost were for nothing. I watched other people's videos complaining about the ending, but it was weird that nobody thought that the way the ending was done was due to American greed. The majority of the episodes were great. The way they got rid of all other main characters was done in a way we would have never expected, which is amazing. The way Gi-hun was experiencing depression and then anger made us think that he would now be a bad guy, and it was going well, but then out of nowhere he became a good guy when he started to save people during the jumping rope game, which was a bit weird. But the most complaints I have are about two things: the detective Hwang and the ending. Detective in Season 2 kept trying to find an island with a Captain Park. The whole Season 2, when they show them, they were just on a boat looking for that damn island. At the end of Season 2 we find out that Captain Park was a bad guy, which, to be honest, was not a surprise, as he found Detective Hwang in the water and saved him. In Season 1 Hwang was shot by the front man and fell off the cliff. Of course, his body wouldn't swim anywhere too far away from the island. So that captain for 2 years with a detective looking for that island didn't make sense. But this shows how bad a Detective Hwang was, that he didn't question it and just saw him as his savior. In Season 3, Woo-suk, in his gut, felt that the captain was suspicious, especially when he saw Captain Park holding a screwdriver in his hands. This didn't make sense, as the captain said he was sleeping and was woken up by a sound. So as Woo-suk was so suspicious of the captain, he told Detective Hwang his theories and a gut feeling. But Detective Hwang didn't listen to him, kept making excuses for the captain. Like, the screwdriver was like a defense weapon, and the captain saved his life. But like how he never thought about why he could not find that island for 2 years. It's just so stupid, and all this was dragging the show most of the time. Of course, later on, they found out that the captain was the bad guy in Captain Park. Almost everyone on the ship except Detective Hwang and that other guy. All this is frustrating. Since Season 2 they were searching for the island to help Gi-hun, and of course he wanted to see his brother. But all this was so dragged out, and the detective not using his skills to detect a bad guy made all these efforts for nothing. And it went worse. Once Detective Hwang found the island, it was already too late. The place was about to be blown up. He just went there, saw his brother, and said, "In-ho, why? Why are you doing this?" And that's all. The writer completely destroyed the character. It was so weird and annoying. Then Detective Hwang got the baby and money and was living a happy life. Like, what the fuck? They could have done this so much better, which is so sad, and now we're going to be stuck with this shitty ending. So yeah, Detective Hwang's character went completely to dog shit. He didn't bring anything good, but also other things in the ending were also really bad. I have no complaints that Gi-hun passed away to save the baby. I think that was fine. I didn't see anyone complaining about that. But still, people wanted the games to be destroyed. Everything was going that way in Season 2. It could have still happened if Detective Hwang had shown up there with his crew and plus police. But no, they just decided to blow up a place, and all the VIPs and the front man evacuated. Those VIPs were horrible as well. Their dialogues were bad and their acting was weird, but it would have been satisfying that at least one was unalived. I understand that they wanted to show that all the time the rich, the bad guys, will win. As it's like this in real life, and even the Squid Games were inspired by a real event. As South Korea was preparing for the Olympics that were set to happen in 1988, the dictator at the time ordered to clean up the streets. That means to get rid of all the people who look delinquent. They put a lot of people in detention facilities. Inside there, people were faced with abuse and were ordered to play games, and whoever loses will be beaten up. In August 1982, a man with the surname Kong submitted a petition asking the government and police to investigate his brother's mistreatment while held at brother's home. So they started to do an investigation, and what they found was horrific. The 1987 New Korean Democratic Party investigation reports estimated that, based on records from the center, a total of 513 people passed away inside Brothers from July 5, 1975 to January 7, 1987. But in 2022, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission investigation reported that, based on a comprehensive analysis, including all newly discovered death records from 1975 to 1988, a total of 657 people had passed away in the center. The bodies of passed-away inmates were buried in secret, cremated and buried in public cemeteries, or sold to nearby hospitals. Park In-gun was the director of the brothers' home. While he was initially prosecuted for embezzlement and illegal confinement related to the brothers' home, he was later sentenced to prison for corruption and embezzlement for 2 years. And he never received a punishment for what he had done in the brothers' home. Then he escaped with his family to Australia. He passed away there at an old age, and his family still lives there with all the money they have gotten from their brother's home. So yeah, the ending is very similar. The bad guys did not receive a punishment for what they have done. We can take into consideration that maybe they wanted to end it the way real life works, but the last scene in Squid Game completely changed that. At the end we see Americans playing Tokji, the way that the games recruit people into their games. First of all, it's weird seeing Americans playing Tokji, as it's a Korean game. Second of all, the whole Squid Game ending was for the Americans to make their own version. Who even needs that? Squid Game was interesting for many due to how different it was from American shows, with games and songs that people had never heard of before. America is notorious for destroying good movies and shows from abroad, like Death Note and Old Boy. So that's what I think. Netflix wanted to continue Squid Game, as it's their best show ever. To do that, the game shouldn't be destroyed. I wouldn't be surprised that Netflix demanded this kind of ending, and this is the reason it all was so weird and disappointing for many. Also, articles are writing about how upsetting it all is. Still, the possibility of an English-language reboot or US-based version has caused backlash online, with longtime fans questioning the need to Americanize a story so rooted in Korean culture. Some fans pointed out that the original point of the series, which features financially struggling Korean citizens risking their lives playing dehumanizing games for money, was to critique capitalism, and that making an American version simply for profit was ironic. Squid Game USA doesn't even make sense because why are they recruiting with Dokji when we don't even play that game here? That's what I said. It's so weird and doesn't make any sense. And also another said, we don't want Squid Games USA, please. It's very ironic that Squid Game, a series meant to be a critique of capitalism that ended on a bleak note, is going to have a USA version. Although I find its lore interesting, I will not be watching this American spin-off. They're just milking the franchise for profit at this point. Yes, I am angry at this, but what are your thoughts? Thank you for watching, and see you next time.